All right, well, welcome everyone. So excited that you are here. I want to first start off by thanking you for taking the time out of your day to really being open to learning about an exciting healing modality, something that is really truly revolutionary in the field of regenerative science and age reversal. I absolutely love sharing about this phototherapy light patch because I have seen myself what it has done for me and the people in my life that I've patched. So I am Beth Blackmore. I'm a health and an empowerment coach, having gone through my own health journey 6 years ago, changing up my food choices, my lifestyle habits, resulting in a 60-pound weight loss. And this really marked the start of my conscious awakening. I ended up leaving my government career in HR, the pension, rejecting, the government overreach to pursue my passion in helping others find their own inner power and really take control of their health. So through this journey, I've embraced lifelong learning, so unlearning and relearning, and really being open to change. Most recently, Rachel introduced me to the whole realm of quantum biology, circadian rhythm, really harnessing the power of light and how our light environment really impacts our overall health. So, when my friend Diane Hunt reached out about this light patch and how this could be another tool in my coaching toolkit, I invited Rachel on the call too, knowing that she'd be able to use her knowledge and understand the science behind it. So, we were basically blown away by the information that you are about to hear about the technology, the company Lifewave, and the life-changing testimonials. We pretty much signed up immediately, placed our first order in, and really did what any good daughter would do. We patched our moms. So within days, my 77-year-old mom, who had been experiencing knee pain for years, going to physio 3 times a week, her knee pain diminished significantly. Her physiotherapist noticed improvement in mobility, less inflammation, and wondered what had changed. She told her daughter put a light patch on her. And so not only did her knee pain improve, but she also started experiencing deeper sleep, more energy and stamina. She started walking, gardening, and swimming regularly again. And for me, the benefits have been life-changing as well. I'm finally sleeping through the night, having vivid dreams, which is unheard of for me. I used to have this lower back compression issue that I had dealt with for years. That eased up within a week. My energy, my mental clarity have improved, which is helping me to keep up with everything on my plate. But what lights me up the most is that I know that the best is yet to come. My body is healing and repairing and age reversing. And so this technology is literally transforming people's lives all over the world, not just from a health perspective, but there is an incredibly exciting financial opportunity because Lifewave is the #1 direct sales company in the world right now. So more on that in a little bit. But I want to now have my friend and co-host Rachel introduce herself before we dive in to the formal part of the presentation.
All right. Thank you, Beth. Sorry, my voice. I will try. I will try to make it so I'm audible. But yes, so what happened with me was basically I was working as an anesthesiologist in conventional and traditional medicine for close to 20 years in Canada. And when my mom was diagnosed with cancer in 2017, I started to look outside of the allopathic model to help her stay away from the destructive nature of a lot of the treatments of chemo and radiation and such. And it opened the door to my mind looking at different ways of healing. And then what happened in 2020 was I walked away for medical freedom of choice reasons and didn't think I'd be gone long and started doing a lot of research and things that seemed very confusing to me with what I had been taught in my entire career. And in that path or on that path, I discovered a neurosurgeon named Dr. Jack Cruz who started crumbling the entire foundation of everything I'd been taught in my traditional medical education. And that being basically that light is the controller of all of our physiology. It's upstream from the biochemistry and the physical nature of our body. And not that one has to understand all of the physics behind it, but it is there. All of the science is there. It's just kind of been buried. And I started to get very excited after I was initially distraught, but because there were so many things that could be done that were simple, that could really transform people's lives, and it transformed my life. And Then having come across these patches, red light therapy was kind of my big thing because it really targeted the mitochondria, which are at the center of our health. They produce our energy, and that is what keeps us alive. And so coming across these patches, again, is sort of always a circuitous route. Nothing is ever direct, right? And it was just timely because my mom's health was starting to decline. And excuse me, because Diane Hunt, who's not on the call, but for those that don't know, she was a cardiac surgical nurse for 20 years. And her sharing what she had seen with these Lifewave patches and heart patients, I knew she was coming from the same experience and model that I had been immersed in. And she was sharing things from lab standpoints and investigations that I'd never seen in my career, and as well herself. And so, because of everything I was learning about these patches, which we're going to get into here in this presentation, um, there was absolutely nothing to lose by getting my mom started. And I'll go into a little more detail when we get to the testimonials about my mom, but she has heart failure, significant heart failure, to the point where it was very painful for her to walk with such a slow pace because she would have to catch her breath every 2 seconds. And within 2 weeks, she was starting to breathe faster, or not breathe faster, but she was starting to be able to walk faster and breathe better, which was mind blowing to me because 2 weeks I wasn't expecting that. And then within 3 weeks, she had to actually lower her thyroid medication. That's what her doctor did. And a few other things have happened since, but yeah, I've just been sharing ever since then. And I'll let Beth, we'll get on with the presentation and I can explain more afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So I am now going to share my screen. And if you can give me a thumbs up that you can see that, okay? All right, perfect. Okay, so my first question to you is, who is ready to learn how to activate your body's own healing with the power of the patch? And this isn't just any patch, right? This is what makes this patch so unique, is that it supports your body's natural healing ability by using your own light. So we're going to get into it here. And I do want to say at the outset that Lifewave products, they're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or any disease or medical condition. So this is not a medical device that requires FDA approval. This patch is actually FDA recognized as a general wellness product. And so everything that we will be talking about and presenting today will be discussed. We'll really focus on general wellness. So addressing symptoms and experiences rather than specific diseases. Of course, everybody has their own story that they can share, but I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. So, talking about symptoms and what you may be feeling, are you feeling older and frustrated that your mind, your body are not functioning like they once did? Does it feel like you've hit a wall and it's all downhill from here? Maybe you have low energy, inflammation, mobility issues like my mom that are slowing you down, preventing you from living your best life. So now I want you to imagine if you could feel more energized and do all that you need to do in life, all that you want to do in life. Imagine if you could think clearly, stay focused, and have mental clarity. Imagine if you could be more active. And not only that, but level up your physical game, build your lean, strong muscles and bones, and recover faster. What would it feel like in a more relaxed state? Better sleep, waking up in the same position that you fell asleep in. And on top of all that, who wouldn't want to age gracefully? So having the smoother, more youthful skin, regrowing your hair, getting your natural hair color back, maybe no longer requiring your reading glasses. Imagine if you could reverse the aging process. Well, did you know that by the age of 30, 60% of our healthy stem cells have already gone dormant? And by 60, they decrease by 90%. So unfortunately, as we age, our stem cells decrease, they mutate, they go dormant. And this is what causes the slower healing time, the wrinkles, the gray hair, the body aches. And not only is the natural aging process contributing to our health decline, but unfortunately, our modern living environment contributes to our poor health with the constant exposure to things like the chemicals in our food, air, water, even the man-made synthetic radiation, over time, all of this leads to cellular breakdown, cellular dysfunction, making it harder for our bodies to repair and regenerate. So, saying all this, stem cells are the body's healing and repair system, replacing the old damaged cells. 8 months ago, I really had no idea what stem cells were, but they are the baby cells that replace the old dying cells. They actually become your heart cells, your lung cells, your liver cells, your hair cells, and even your brain cells. And sure, we know that there's stem cell therapy, which is expensive. People need to travel to get it. It's not readily available. It's invasive, it's risky, and it's actually only about 50% effective. It's not systemic, so it actually stays local to the injection site. So this is where stem cell regeneration becomes exciting and why the phototherapy patch is such a powerful option. So activating healing with light or phototherapy is nothing new. It's been around since the dawn of time. We all know that the sun is a form of phototherapy, signaling our bodies to make vitamin D. But photobiomodulation is a specific type of light therapy that uses specific wavelengths of light to stimulate cells, boost energy production, promotes healing, it reduces inflammation, improves blood flow, it helps with tissue repair, and best of all, it's non-invasive, it's accessible, it's affordable, and it's risk-free. So now what if I told you that there was a product, one that uses this very technology of photobiomodulation, so basically uses your own body's heat, right? Your light, your infrared light to increase a naturally occurring copper peptide. Well, that's exactly what the X39 patch does. So using our body's own infrared light, it stimulates the production of human or our own GHKCU peptide. And this is known as the holy grail of age reversal. It's not synthetic peptides, right? These are your own. So the X39 patch, which happens to be the inventor David Schmidt's 39th invention, bumps up the production of GHKCU, which is naturally occurring universal peptide, and it goes to work all over the body. And thanks to Lauren Picard, PhD and researcher, we know the incredible benefits of this copper peptide. He isolated it back in 1973, so there's 50 years of research to back it up. And you can actually find all kinds of studies on pubmed.gov, which is this online repository of scientific research. So some of the benefits that we know of GHKCU, it stimulates blood vessel and nerve outgrowth, it boosts collagen and elastin, so again, our own production of collagen. It also has multiple anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, anti-pain, and even anti-cancer properties, and it's capable of resetting over 4,000 genes in our genome, essentially resetting and repairing your DNA to a younger, healthier state. But here's the clincher. GHKCU reactivates dormant stem cells. So how does this little patch increase GHKCU? Well, now that you know the power of the peptide, let me introduce you to the power of this patch. So Lifewave X39 is a small wearable phototherapy patch. You can see it here right on my wrist. It's about the size of a quarter, developed by David Schmidt, the founder of Lifewave. This is a patented product that operates through this process of photobiomodulation, using your body's own infrared heat to activate this crystallized lattice. And so this lattice structure is made up of organic materials, so amino acids, sugars, water, salt, and oxygen. And so the crystal lattice, it acts like a mirror, and it reflects specific light frequencies back into your body, signaling biological changes at the cellular level. So the patches are latex-free, non-transdermal. They do not contain peptides. They do not contain stem cells. There are no drugs, chemicals, or stimulants, and they're safe to use without interfering, without any contraindications. So because nothing is being absorbed into your skin. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to our resident doctor and light expert, Rachel, to present the amazing benefits of X39.
Thank you, Beth. So just to pause here for a moment, and I know Beth went over phototherapy, and I just want to kind of emphasize here about how light actually does affect our body. And and I say this as a medical doctor, having spent 30 years in the medical system, really not paying any attention to my light environment, not even thinking about it whatsoever. Yet for most of us, we know that we need to go out in the sun to make vitamin D naturally. The sun doesn't make our vitamin D. It signals to our body to create vitamin D. When we go outside and we get a tan, it's not the sun that is making a tan, it's the sun that is signaling to our body and special cells in our skin to create melanin, that pigment that gives us the tan. As well, there are specific light therapies. For example, when babies are born yellow, when they're born jaundiced, we use a specific light therapy to help them clear those chemicals built up in the body. And so light really does affect our physiology. And those are just some examples of how we can kind of translate that into the real world. So the benefits of the X39 using our own light, specific frequencies of our own light, help with reducing inflammation and pain. And so inflammation, as many people know, and those that are not aware, is actually at the foundation of most chronic diseases. So lowering and reducing inflammation and pain, obviously, is really helpful and beneficial for just about everything that any chronic issue that you have. It improves strength, stamina, and energy levels. And I think we all need more energy these days. And really, again, we need energy just for our body and our cells to function and perform all of the processes that we normally do. But we also need extra energy now to do all of the healing that takes place. And so having extra energy, again, is beneficial. It improves muscle and bone density, improves mental clarity, and reduces stress. And I would say that stress is, I don't know what the statistics are, but I know that stress is at the top of the list for affecting and basically being part of the reason that most of us have chronic issues. And so reducing stress, especially in the last 5 years, we've had an escalation of that, would be extremely beneficial. Balancing hormones and easing anxiety. Again, everything that has escalated in the last 5 or so years. Not that it wasn't there before, but it just seems to be a lot more. This is, again, extremely beneficial. Improving hair growth and skin appearance. And now this, we kind of think of to do with collagen, and Beth touched on collagen earlier. And we think about aesthetics when it comes to hair growth and skin appearance. But really, collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. It's actually 70% of the protein in our body. And collagen does so much more than just having to do with our appearance of skin and hair and nails and such. And it really is the infrastructure that holds everything together. It's the cytoskeleton, it's the backbone, the fascia that is in our body, which really holds everything together as well. One of the most important things that many people don't know is that the fascia is so full of water and necessary for that hydration, for the light to travel in our body from one part of the body to the other, from head to toe. And that is how light travels. So we need the water, we need the collagen, we need that for communication, and good communication all around is how we have harmony in the body. It promotes cellular repair and wound healing and improves sleep quality. And again, sleep quality is not just about feeling rested, which is very nice to feel, but sleeping, the time when we sleep is really when all of the repair and regeneration takes place. So it is critically important to make sure that we do get that quality of sleep. And this works systemically. It's not locally. It works all over the body with a 2,100% stem cell proliferation rate. Next slide. Thank you. So the long-term results, within the first few days, we have over 4,000 genes that begin to be reset. Now, this isn't necessarily something that you're going to feel. If you think about when you eat different foods, I mean, sometimes you might get an upset stomach, but most people, when they're eating foods, they're not necessarily feeling what's happening in the body. Or when you take a supplement, if you take any kind of vitamin, you're not necessarily feeling it going to work immediately, if at all. But the same as this is something that you probably won't feel, but it is happening. And again, just to give context for this, in the early 2000s, there was the Human Genome Project that took place, and they discovered that there were only about 20,000 genes in our genome, despite having 140 to 160,000 proteins. So that was a lot less genes than we thought we were going to find. And the good thing about that is the fact that we can make an abundance of different proteins from each gene. But we have over or just around 20,000 genes in our genome. This is resetting over 4,000. So that is a significant amount. That's 20% of our genome. And again, to give a different type of context, most people are aware of red wine, or so we hear red wine having some benefits. And usually that is attributed to the biochemical resveratrol. And resveratrol has been packaged and sold in supplements, in supplement form. And the benefits of resveratrol are because it resets two genes. So there's a lot of attention being given to resveratrol, which resets two genes. And here we have something that resets over 4,000 genes. So that's actually quite staggering, in my opinion. Within 6 weeks, we have the brain becoming balanced. And what that means is basically the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain are talking to each other. They're communicating better. And we need both sides of the brain to communicate so that it can actually then communicate to the rest of the body what it needs to do and when, so everything is working in harmony. Within 3 months, more collagen is being produced. And again, I talked about collagen. And within 6 months, the heart reverses in age. And it's not just the heart, it's the whole cardiovascular system. So the blood vessels as well. And this is a really big one because heart disease is actually one of the top 3 leading causes of chronic issues in North American society. And as David Schmidt likes to say, it's not anti-aging, it is age reversal. So how do we wear these patches? This is one of the things that I absolutely love about these patches. I mean, there's so many things, but this one really, when I talk to people, this one is really incredible. It's the easiest thing because it's basically like a sticker, like Beth showed you, and I've got one on my wrist here. It's like the size of a quarter or a silver dollar. And it's like a sticker. You take off the backing, you put it on your skin. You can put it anywhere. This is on the back of the neck here with this lady because that's one of the places that where the research was done. And you can put it anywhere on the skin. And 12 hours later, you take it off. So you are getting the benefit of the work while it is on your body. Now, so many other things that we know can help us take time out of our day. They take effort for us to get to a certain place. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing those things, but really that is one of the drawbacks for people to actually engage in some of these other practices. It's the time, the energy, and the effort. And so these literally, you stick them on your body, you take them off, you can dispose of it after you take it off after 12 hours, or there is a little bit of life left in it. So what you can do, and what I do, is actually wrap it around my dog's collar so she gets the benefit, and I put it on her the next day of the last 4 to 6 hours. Or again, people put it in their plants. I still have not seen this. I don't know if anyone here has done it yet, but I'd love to hear if you have. And then you put it on, you put a new one on the next day, and you repeat that for as long as you want in terms of what your goals are. Now, the minimum suggested time is at least 90 days. And that is because 97%, with the research, 97% of people see an effect by 90 days. So you really can't tell if you used it for less than 90 days and you didn't see or feel anything. You can't say that it didn't work because you really have to give it the 90 days at a minimum. But really what is recommended is to wear it 1 month per decade that you've been alive. So myself being 53, that would be at least 6 months to get the full reactivation of our dormant stem cells. Now, again, it depends on your goal. If someone is wanting to, for example, regrow cartilage so they don't want to, or they don't have to go and have a knee replacement done, then they might want to wear it until they get that result. Or for myself personally, I am all about prevention. I would rather not have some kind of chronic issue creep up. I'd rather prevent it ahead of time. And so for me, this is something that I am going to continue to wear. And again, it's up to everyone's individual choices. One of the questions that we get a lot is, so what happens when you take it off and you stop wearing it? Do all of the symptoms return? And so how this is different from traditional and regular medications, for example, if you take a blood pressure medication, you stop the blood pressure medication, your blood pressure starts to go up again because really you are just suppressing symptoms. With these patches, you are actually supporting the healing process. So whatever healing has taken place is there, and it's just going to mean that the aging process is going to resume once you stop wearing the patches. So you want to make sure as well that you drink lots of water. And I touched on that earlier when I was talking about collagen, because water is, we have a water superhighway in water network superhighway in the body. And this water is very critical because this is how light travels in the body. And so with these patches, we are using light for the communication. So we need to make sure that we are well hydrated. If we are not well hydrated, then they don't work as well. So it's not just about drinking water, because if it's just water, then you are drinking it and you are most likely peeing most of it out. You want to make sure that you have electrolytes in the water to hold more water in the body. It holds more water in the blood volume, so in your circulatory system, but it does help with pulling water and keeping water intracellularly, which is where we want it. You also want to make sure that you are focused on eating foods that are rich in copper, because this patch uses, it works with the copper peptide. So you want to make sure that you have the substrates to work with to have this copper peptide made. So I go to foods first over supplements. And, I've had the question recently, can we get too much copper? Because there's problems with copper in specific disease states, I would say. And really, it's hard to overdose on copper in foods these days. We used to, in the early 1900s, we used to get 4 to 6 milligrams a day in our food. Now, because of the changes in agricultural practices, it's hard for us to even get 1 milligram of copper in our diet. So the copper-rich foods are at the top of the list. Organ meats. So I wouldn't eat organ meats every single day, because then you probably could get a little too much copper, because it is concentrated. But also, not everyone likes organ meats. I have my kids take an organ meat desiccated supplement, because they don't like any of the other foods. But the other foods are oysters, which are basically a superfood, not just for copper, for almost everything. And that's another topic on its own. But shellfish and seafood, avocados, nuts and seeds. And as far as nuts, cashews are high on the list, and sunflower seeds for seeds. And probably everyone's favorite, I would say, is a little square of dark chocolate will give you enough copper for the day. Next slide, please. So what to expect with these patches. And this is an interesting one because our society has been so conditioned, especially in the medical system, to want and expect instant results, or fairly quick, with medications and with surgery. And our body actually is exquisitely designed, and it knows exactly what to do. It knows how to repair itself as long as we give it the right signals. But it does take time. And every single body, every person is different. We come from a different background, but different genetics, genetic predisposition, different environment that we live in, different toxic load, different stress, different stresses, different number of years that we've been on the planet. So our bodies are very different. We are all unique. And so everyone has shifts and changes that occur in different timings. So while some people have very quick results on these patches, other people, it takes time. So what I like to tell people is really to have patience. And again, the body knows exactly what to do. It knows what priority sequence things need to be done. So while you might be wanting to use the patches to, take headaches away, or take some knee pain away, or any pain in your body, or improve eyesight or hair growth, your body might have a different idea of what needs to take place first. And so you might have some things going on in your body that you're unaware of, but it is fixing. Like it might be working on your pancreas, on your liver, on your heart, but you might not necessarily know or feel that that's happening. So you might not think that it's working for 1, 2, 3, 4 months until 5 or 6 months, you get that result that you were looking for, but it is working. It's working internally. And you just, again, have to be patient. If you're tired, that actually means it's working, especially in the first month. But I would also say that it can go through periods later on as well that you can have fatigue. And what I would say to that is that's a good sign, and to honor your body and get the extra sleep, because we need a certain amount of energy just to have our regular functions and the regular processes work in our bodies, in our cells. We have 100,000 reactions going on at minimum every second in every cell of our body. And so we actually need extra energy to do the healing. So when you're tired, your body's saying you need to slow down because we need to use this energy for the healing. You also want to make sure that you want to practice some deep breathing, because that brings in more oxygen into the body, and the oxygen, where the terminal site where that oxygen goes, is actually in the mitochondria making water, but it makes energy. So water is actually energy in our body. Next slide, please. So here we have some real results and changes that you can see. And on the left-hand side, you can see that there is an increase in hair growth going from, that was July 27th of last year, and then there's November 16th, and then this year to January 18th. So that's really 6-7 months of wearing the patches. And you can see that's a significant amount of hair growth, which is, I would say, pretty exciting for a lot of people. I know quite a few people and a lot of women who have been losing their hair. And this one on the right is pretty staggering also, with scoliosis, a curvature of the spine. This woman was wearing the X39 as well as Icewave. So the X39 is the one that supports our stem cell, or that copper peptide and the stem cell activation. The Icewave is just to help with alleviating the pain. So that one is not doing any of the regeneration, but she was using both of them. And you can see how in 4 weeks, just 4 weeks, her spine has straightened out. And again, just going back to the previous slide, it takes time for some people. So not everybody would get this result in 4 weeks. But this is what happened with this lady. Next slide, please. And here on the left-hand side, this lady, you can see on the left photo, she has a condition that we have named in our system, vitiligo. It's just a depigmentation of areas of the skin. And it's actually because that pigment has been pulled inside her body where it's needed, more importantly, because she doesn't have enough. And she tried everything, she said, and to help with her vitiligo, and nothing worked until she tried the X39. Now, again, it doesn't say here the timing. I don't know the timing, but you can see there's a nice pink uniform color to her back on the right photo. She doesn't have the splotchy areas where there isn't pigment. And on the right-hand side, although it might not look like it to anyone, this is a knee. This is the incision from a knee replacement. And this is only 2 days of wearing the patches. And I can tell you from having seen many, 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 many scars and surgical wounds, this is very fast for wound healing. Next slide, please. And so here, this is a topography map of a 77-year-old woman's brain. Now, you don't have to know all the details here, but suffice it to say that on the left-hand side, she had not been wearing the X39 patch yet. And here it shows the red part of her brain is inflammation. So the red equals inflammation. And you can tell she has not worn the patch. She's got a lot of inflammation. She has some dark blue, which means that there's low activity in her brain, and not much light blue or green. After 3 weeks of being on the X39, you can see there is no more red. So she no longer has inflammation after 3 weeks of wearing this patch. She no longer has inflammation. She has some more of the light blue and green coming in. And this is actually good because it shows improved brain coherence. And again, that brain coherence, what that means is the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain are actually speaking to each other. They're communicating. And we want communication because good communication brings harmony to the brain and the body. And here on the right-hand side, session 3, this is after 6 weeks of wearing the X39. Again, still no red, so no inflammation. And there's a lot more of this light blue and green coming in, and a lot less of the dark blue, which means low activity. So she's got a lot more coherence and a lot more activity and no inflammation. Only 6 weeks of wearing the X39.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. So right now, I would love to call upon some people that are on the call today to share their experience with patching. So these are people that Rachel and I have shared the patch with, and they've had some incredible results. So I'd first love to call on Tamara Chamberlain. If you can unmute yourself and share your story.
Sure can. Thank you. Great to see everybody this afternoon. And Rachel, just an idea for your throat and whatnot, maybe try some raw honey and some lemon along with that oil of oregano that you're doing. I find it works for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, it's been a pretty awesome experience so far wearing the patches. I started wearing them in about mid-August when after speaking with Beth and deciding to join in as a brand partner, I picked up a patch to get going while mine were on their way in. And I have to say, from my personal experience, it was within minutes when I first noticed my original reaction to the patches. So I had a bit of, I'll say it's discomfort, a little bit of pain in my right hip, and it's been there for about 5 or 6 years. Nothing major. It didn't stop me from doing anything. I'm a very avid golfer, and I play anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week, depending on where I am and what's going on in my life. So that was always there while I was playing, and the patch just, I don't know how it did it. I guess it's got some magic in it, but the pain really disappeared within seconds of me, well, maybe minutes, of putting on that first patch. So amazing experience right from the get-go. So by the time I got home and I started sharing the patch with my husband, he really noticed that I had increased energy as that day wore on. I cleaned my house like a mad woman and still had energy for whatever else was going on in the course of that day. Within a couple of days, we were both sleeping amazing, like Beth had mentioned with her initial introduction to the patch. So I went from about 5 to 6 hours to anywhere between 8 to 10, sleeping very solid through the night. I'm not a big dreamer, never have been, but I have noticed that I am dreaming a little bit more often. But my husband was always a big dreamer and had really action-packed dreams, and his dreams just became more vivid. So yeah, I mean, he can tell me down to like minuscule details in his dreams, what he's noticing after starting the patches. What else? My husband had about 17 years worth of some poor digestion after having his broken ankle fixed and taking antibiotics for a bit of an extended period. And he really did a lot of things and changed our lifestyles even more drastically than we had up to that point, but never really improved his digestion. But with the patches, he noticed that there was certainly a much more consistent digestion happening, and he was feeling a lot better. We both had increased mental clarity and calmness. And yeah, a couple other things that I've noticed very recently. I've had 3 molars fall out, not molars, sorry, fillings in my molars fall out in the last year and a half or so. And I'm noticing that my molars are actually regrowing. So the enamel and whatnot is coming back in. It's not totally repaired after 4.5, almost 5 months, but it's very noticeable. And the sensitivity that would have been there after the fillings fell out is non-existent, whether it's hot or cold. And yeah, I would say in December, my husband woke up, had a very sore throat. He was feeling kind of lethargic, had a headache. And I added to his daily complement of his X39, I added an Aeon patch for some inflammation and 2 Lifewave patches to the side of his throat because he had a sore throat. And he went back to bed and woke up about a half hour later, feeling significantly better. And by the time the evening rolled around, his sore throat was gone. And he normally goes through a little bit of a cycle. It's fairly common with him, and it'll take 3 to 4 days to get rid of any of the ailments that he's feeling if he starts feeling like that. And so to have that gone in less than a day was really big. if you know man colds, it's really not all that fun to be around. So it was awesome. And myself, that same day, my husband wasn't feeling great. I poured some almost boiling hot water on my hand, and it was super sensitive. It was red. It was very tender. And so I added an Aeon patch to my regimen for the day as well. And yeah, it was by midday, I couldn't even notice that I had poured the water on my hand. There was no swelling. The redness was pretty much gone, and definitely no tenderness to the touch. So yeah, it's been awesome. I also think, just off the top of my head, I think the ridges on my nails are actually disappearing as well. So I don't know if the firmness and the hardness of the nails is there yet, but ridges I think are diminishing. So yeah, so that's a speedy, I hope, kind of covering of things, but that's been my experience so far. So it's starting with the patches has been a great experience for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Tamara. And yeah, you
You're
covered a lot
welcome.
of ground there. I've got to ask you, okay, you've got great color. I know you're down in Mexico. Have you found that your skin is less sensitive to the sun? I don't know if you've, because I know that people report that by wearing the patch, they're not burning as much, their skin, they're getting nice color, but their skin isn't as sensitive as it used to be.
Right. I've always been one who could tan fairly well, and I've been in like Nicaragua and Mexico for about 3.5 years now.
Now you're
But
bragging.
I'm sorry. I changed my world to do that too.
Yeah,
So
I know. I know.
um, but yeah, I would say if there's been days when I've been out like pretty much the entire day from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I look red when I come in, there's no itchiness, no sensitivity, and the next day it looks like a tan. So yeah, I would think probably that's an added effect that I hadn't even thought about.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you, Tamara, for
Thanks.
sharing.
You're welcome.
Mary, I'd love for you to unmute yourself and share your powerful testimony.
Hey, do you
I,
have the pictures
I
there?
do. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. They're
Yay,
loaded up.
awesome. Yeah, so I'll try and make it really quick. I was similar in almost immediate results. It felt like a light switch went on in my body. Like the moment I put the patch on, I could feel something was working. I know not everyone gets that effect, but that's what happened for me. And within 12 hours, like 70% of my inflammation was gone. So on my foot pictures there, I lived for 2 years with my feet so swelled a lot of days that I couldn't wear my regular shoes. And it was, you talked about stress. I'm a single mom and 2 kids and caregiving for my elderly mom who's no longer with us. But I was overwhelmed with stress and trying to work a nearly full-time job on top of that. I was just overwhelmed, and it caught up with me, along with never completely recovering from the big sickness that was going around for a long time and still supposedly is. But I couldn't climb stairs without resting a lot of the time, or I would be so winded at the top and my heart rate was going crazy. Brain fog was terrible. My executive function was like at 0. I was lucky if I would get us fed and get dishes done for the day, never mind working. I was actually off work for the majority of 2024. And I had that severe pitting edema in my feet and legs. I couldn't wake up without coffee. And then I had about 10 patches to work with over the month of December. And my feet changed like that over the month of December. When I started consistently patching, which has only been for a month and a couple of days, or actually, yeah, not even a full month yet. But I have a lot of my executive function back. I'm back to work almost full time. I'm feeding us and mostly getting my dishes done. I hate doing dishes, so that's my
Yeah, the
my
patches
thing
may
that
not help
always
with
gets
that.
left behind. But so my brain fog is clearing. I have diagnosed degenerative discs in my back. I no longer feel the discomfort from that. It melted away. I probably about week 2 maybe. I can sit in a full squat and get up with no pain, which I was a fairly high level athlete. I played varsity volleyball and kind of wrecked my knees doing that. I literally have not been able to do that in 15 years. And so I'm like, I'm showing everybody, I'm like, look, I can squat down and and I can get up and I'm not in pain. My sugar cravings are at 0. That happened like a couple days in. I'd been really craving sugar a lot, living off of it, and just 0 sugar craving. I really did not want coffee after day 3. I haven't drank coffee in like 2.5 weeks now, and I don't miss it. I am making like a nice raw cacao drink at some point every day, looking at the copper benefits of that. And at bonus, my cat that was in pain and I thought I was going to have to put her asleep from her teeth, she's happy and eating. And I've just been doing what Rachel said. I put my used patch on a little harness for my cat to wear for the night. And I have my kitty cat healed up still with me.
That's amazing, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing. You're just hitting all these boxes off tonight and
Yeah.
in such a short order of time. So thank you so much for being on the call and for your sharing your testimonial and for sharing your feet picture. Appreciate that. I'd love to call on Larry. Larry, if you can unmute yourself and share your powerful testimonial.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, my name is Larry Hindle. I live in Kamloops, Canada. My wife, Betty, and we have 3 children together. For much of my life, I've been very active physically. I enjoy exercise. For many years, I was both a runner and a cyclist, competitive. 22 years ago, though, I had an injury to my knee. It's when I was 45 years old. And so I haven't been able to run for 22 years. And so it's bicycling I do now, which is on the road, and mountain biking. And I enjoy being extremely fit aerobically. So I've been able to use technology and devices such as a heart monitor and a cycle computer and a gadget on my bike that measures my power. And it allows me to put that information into a computer and give me feedback of how my fitness is progressing and where I would fit in relative to other people and how to continue being fit. And as an example, in May of 2021, some friends challenged me to go into an 8-hour mountain bike race. And I thought, why not? So that's what I did. And I finished an 8-hour mountain bike race. A week later, was challenged to do a 5-hour ride that we rode up the mountain. And I did that. I felt great. And I could go out again the next day and do another ride without being fatigued. But in June of the same year, 2021, I became ill. A lot of other people did as well. And within a very short time, I noticed that my entire being from head to toe, I was having problems with fatigue, eyesight. I had floaters. Eyesight of my left eye diminished almost to nothing. I had dizziness. Cognitive function was gone. Vertigo was, of course, is a challenge with the dizziness. I began to lose my voice, and I was still trying to do some exercise, so I was getting feedback about my heart rate. It was racing. The amount of work that I could do when I was exercising was down to maybe half on a good day. And if I did exercise, I would have to rest for 3 or 4 days afterwards. I started to have all sorts of body pain, inflammation. And when I saw Mary's photos, I have photos like that as well, of my feet being swollen, and the story of needing, if you're going up the stairs, you have to rest halfway up, and with the dizziness. So it got to the point that by December of that year, I was on prednisone in order to get through the day with painkillers. And I was in bed almost the whole month of December. And it that carried on for, not as severe, but it carried on for 2 years. So I tried to get some help from the medical system, and they just seemed to be confounded by what was going on. They couldn't offer anything. So I got into alternatives, and I went through a lot of things. Probably the thing that helped me the most with the inflammation and the fatigue and everything was eliminating a lot of foods. I had developed allergies that caused inflammation continually. I could feel the symptoms coming on of, that I was being tired. So it got to the point that my big passion, riding a bicycle, was just no fun anymore. I would go out and ride. I wouldn't have any fun. The hills that I used to race up, I was now walking up, pushing my bike. I would ride maybe 1 or 2 days a week, because if I did any more than that, I'd be fatigued. And it slowly improved just through alternative therapies. And I was actually feeling pretty good one day in October of 2023 or 2024. I went out, and I was out mountain biking, and I wasn't paying attention, and I had a really nasty crash. And I've dislocated my shoulder. Thankfully, it went in at the time, but for months afterwards, I was in pain. It was difficult for me to use my shoulder if I was sleeping. When I rolled over, I would wake up, and I tried again. I went to physiotherapy. I didn't get any benefits. So, but still, things had gotten better than where I'd been 2 years before. And then in May of that was 2023 when I did my shoulder. Sorry. In May of 2024, I met Rachel through my wife, Betty. Betty and Rachel are good friends, Dr. Rachel. And we were introduced to the patch, and we started using it on June the 1st of 2024. And in a very short while, I noticed so many things that improved in my body. Again, from head to toe. The eyesight had improved so much. The floaters were gone. The ringing in my ears was diminished. The cognitive function was really something. On one hand, I found that I was very calm and peaceful, and I was also able to focus better. My voice by then had already come back somewhat, but the big things were the complete disappearance of any pain and discomfort in my body. I was so encouraged that I started riding more often, training. I got the technology out, and it was starting to show, according to the computer, that my body was improving. The heart function was improving. Respiratory. I was back in the gym. I was able to lift significantly more weight than I could do before. And I was quite encouraged. But over the space of this time, my shoulder and at this point, 8 months later, my shoulder has completely healed. It's in better shape now than it was before I injured it. I'm able to push more weight with it. And the other thing that was quite amazing, I mentioned that I damaged my knee with a complete rupture of a posterior cruciate ligament and a MCL, and it took about 6 months for me to be able to get out moving again properly. And surgery was never recommended at the time, nor has it been since. And I've tried a few times using different braces to go running, and what would happen is it would hurt while I was running, and it would be painful for days afterwards. So I knew that running wasn't really going to work. But recently we went on vacation in Mexico for a couple of weeks, which was wonderful. And because I wasn't taking my bicycle, I thought, well, I'm taking my knee brace anyways, because I'm going to do workouts in the gym. Maybe I'll take my running shoes. And so I went running when I was in Mexico, the first time really in 22 years that I was able to strap on my running shoes. And I went out and I ran 6K, 6 kilometers in under 5 minutes per kilometer, which is a decent pace. And I had no pain at the time, and I had no tick pain in the days afterwards. And so here I am, I find myself, I've got the most easy technology to work with. It's a patch I put on, like you say, you just put a patch on your back or anywhere, and you just put it on and forget it. And meanwhile, the patch has gone to work. And for me, like I say, it's head to toe, right? It just every part of my body, it seems now, is age reversing, and I love the patch. So thank you, Rachel, for bringing that to my wife and I.
That's
That's so
amazing,
wonderful.
Larry.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing your powerful testimony. I was going to say you are definitely age reversing. That's amazing. So happy for
Thank
you.
you. Thanks.
So happy for all of us. Okay, so actually, Rachel, would you like to share where your mom is at? I know because at the beginning of the conversation, the beginning of the presentation, you were sharing about your mom's state of health. If you could give us an update with her and also maybe other testimonials that you've heard about with people that you've patched in your life.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I will try to be quick, and thank you, Larry, for sharing that. Thank you, everyone. Tamara and Mary as well. So my mom, I told you about at the beginning, her shortness of breath decreasing, walking faster, lowering her thyroid medication, which they've had to do again. But just her overall energy and well-being is so much better now than it ever has been. Her sleep is better. She still uses her CPAP machine because she has sleep apnea, but I know that will be gone at some point. She's starting to lose weight, which she's been trying to do for decades. And I mean fat weight, not just overall weight. And for me to notice, it's a big deal because she used to always ask me if she'd lost 10 pounds if I'd noticed, and it was hard to notice. But um, anyways, yeah, that and her hair is actually much fuller than it has been. And yeah, she had some skin issues, like really bad patches of, I don't even know what to call it because I don't know what it was, but also varicose veins, spider veins that were all over that are now, I would say 80% gone. She's had a lot of kind of like skin, again, I don't know what it was, it was kind of given a name as, but those have significantly diminished, and red spots and stuff, which again, have diminished. So that is more with my mom and myself. So I'm one of those people that, uh, and I hear this a lot. Well, I'm really healthy. Why do I need to use the patches? So what I would say to that, and what I've learned over the last few years, is we can actually live with up to 70% dysfunctional mitochondria and think we are completely healthy, not exhibit any symptoms. So just like an iceberg, there's a lot going on underneath. And so I know that, and I knew that there would obviously be able to have some work be done, but my brain function was something that I was concerned about. In 2020, I got sick, and it took a nosedive, and I had trouble with memory. I had trouble with word retrieval. I had trouble with articulation. And it was very frustrating and embarrassing. And I tried a bunch of different things, alternative things, to help with that, which didn't really do too much, maybe a little bit. But after the patches, like maybe over 2 months, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, I noticed a significant change in my ability to speak and my memory and my focus. So that was a really big deal for me. The other thing is I noticed right away when I put it on, I actually felt like, and I've heard some people say this, literally electricity going through my body. Like I put the one right under my belly button and my whole belly was warm, and I just felt these tingles for a couple of days. That subsided, but that was initially something. I have had this little bump that has come up between my eyes just out of nowhere a couple years ago that I didn't want to go to a doctor for because I knew exactly what they were going to do, and I didn't want them to cut it out or biopsy it or send me for an x-ray. So I just left it, but it was the size of a big marble, and it was probably a bone because it was, anyways, doesn't matter. But I tried a lot of different things, again, alternative to get rid of it that I'd heard worked. Nothing seemed to work. And now it is the size of a pea. And the only thing that is different is the patches. And another thing for me, so my hair is really long. Normally, I can't, doesn't matter how long I leave it grow, it doesn't go past like about here. And it's just continuing, it's just growing, and it's growing fast. My nails are usually very flimsy, which is why I cut them really short because I can't handle that. The white, they're just very soft. They're a lot harder now. My toenails, and this is kind of a gross one, but as a doctor, nothing grosses me out anymore. Um, when I was a teenager, I swam a lot and I would walk around the pool and got athlete's foot and, used the powder, didn't really do anything. So it ended up going into my nails and it was really not attractive. I tried for years, oral antifungals, topical antifungals, like everything that, again, allopathic medicine has to offer, and nothing worked. And so I just kind of gave up and just forgot about it because it wasn't interfering really in my life. I would just cut them really short so that they weren't as visible. And a couple of weeks ago, I was putting my sock on and my nail got caught and I took it off and I was just looking to see where, the nail was that I was just going to cut. And I started looking at my toenails, which I don't do very often, but and they're about 60% back to normal looking, which is amazing for me. I mean, it's a big deal to me. And it just goes to show like there's a lot that is going on in the body that we think, is not, we're like, okay, we're healthy, right? But there's a lot of toxicity, there's a lot of, damage that is done in the body that we don't necessarily feel until we feel it, right? So there's a lot of reversing and cellular health that can be worked on. But, I share this one as well because this was pretty profound right at the beginning. I started sharing with friends and family that I knew were struggling with issues that, again, allopathic medicine just wasn't helping. And one of my friends who had sciatica for 5 years, pretty debilitating, I asked her if she wanted to try these patches and, there was no downside. And that's really kind of the big message I give people. There's really no downside to this. And it's not expensive compared to a lot of other alternative treatments. And within 3 hours, her sciatica was gone. It's still gone now, 7 months later. One of my mom's friends who he wanted to use the patches. He's 85 because he saw her and he saw just how vibrant and energetic she looked. And he was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Well, my daughter has me on these patches." And he was like, "Get me them." Didn't ask any questions. He was having headaches and his headaches were, that's the reason that he wanted to use the patches was because of the headaches. And a couple months later, he was talking to my mom and the headaches were kind of there and going away, but coming back. And when his wife came home, who was my mom's friend, she said, "Did you tell Lillian about your eyes?" And he was like, "No." And so he no longer needed his reading glasses. So that's where, the body goes to work where it's needed, not necessarily where you want it to go in the time that you want it to go there. A couple of other things. My neighbor, again, one of these people who was like, "I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me," even though when I know his lifestyle, he's not healthy, but he's very active. And he was like, "Well, I'll just try these patches." And I think he just wanted to try them because anyways, within a month, he started getting a lot of pain in his shoulder. And then he disclosed to me that when he was younger, he had an injury where the tendon came off his AC joint and he never had surgery. But he just over time was able to get back the use of his arm. And he was having so much pain that he went to the emergency department. I told him it's probably the patches, right? Like the healing is taking place, just reduce the time. Anyways, he was impatient, went to the emergency department, got whatever pain medications, stopped the patches. So this was after a month. And then he went and got an MRI as well because he wanted to know what was going on. So he paid for a private MRI and came to me with the results. And he's like, "Well, the results," he wanted me to look at them. And he said, "The report says that my tendon's reattaching. Do you think it's the patches?" And I'm like, "Well, after how many years?" He's 60, right? And he did this when he was quite a bit younger. I'm like, the only thing you've changed is the patches. So, and that is what it does, right? With healing and regrowth of tendons and everything else. But yeah, anyways, I could go on, but we can get on. We can talk about more after if people want.
Yeah, thank you for those shares, Rachel. And for anyone else that wants to share, you can do so after. I'd love to open it up. It can be an interactive session with questions and also providing your testimonials. I just want to get back to the formal part of the program, kind of close it off, and then we can open it up to questions and sharing again. So here we go. We want to know who is the miracle man behind the patch. And so I love sharing the heart of Lifewave, and that is the founder and inventor of the product, David Schmidt. So he's been an inventor his whole life. He is the CEO of this 20-year-old company. He started actually working with the US government and was part of the Navy SEAL program, and creating something that could keep the SEALs alert and mentally focused on missions that lasted 36 hours. And that's where the first patch was actually born. That was his first patent. So then David found himself at Stanford University putting those original patches on the US Olympic swim team. So these were the energy enhancer patches, the original ones. And they ended up having tremendous success with it and setting their own personal records. Now, that was over 20 years ago. But then in 2008, David realized that the future of medicine was in stem cells. And that's when he began to figure out a way that he could leverage the natural stem cells that are inside the human body. So after 10 years of research, $4.5 million by 2020, he had received a 20-year patent on the X39. And so he's had, I mean, there are 9 other different types of phototherapy patches, but the X39 is the only one that reactivates our own stem cells. And so this company went from a steady state $20 million company to closing out in 2024 over 600 million with a growth rate of over 3,000 between 2018 and 2023. So we are the number one, Lifewave is the number one direct sales company in the world right now. So yes, we are, it is a network marketing company with the distribution model through networking and word of mouth. And the company pays their loyal customers commission for being distributors of this amazing product. So, and for those that like to do their own research, there is a 22-page patent, but this one paragraph says it all. Elevates copper peptide, activates stem cells, improvements in strength, stamina, pain relief. So the patent is actually on the structure, like the material in the patch, where the patch reflects the specific light frequencies of light back into the body. So there are clinical studies that show the significant increase in the production of that copper peptide GHKCU measured by blood samples, urine analysis, other lab analysis. And what you have to know is this is a novel product. No one else has this. And so in order to get a patent, you have to prove that it works. So you can check out the patents, the studies, the testimonials. There are great videos at that website in the bottom corner there. This is at info.com. It's got great videos with David Schmidt, with doctors being interviewed. There's powerful testimonials on that page as well, so you can check that out. So just going back to, remembering the importance and the benefits of the patch go far beyond the surface, because maybe that means returning to work, right? Like Mary, maybe that means returning to a job you had to quit because of the pain you were in. Perhaps it's being able to not only return to an active lifestyle, but level up your physical games like Larry's doing. Or maybe it's achieving financial freedom, as this company is the number one momentum company in the industry of direct sales. And so, just simply sharing with others can allow you to live a life with more ease, whether it's paying for your patches, covering an extra bill, or living abundantly. This is all available to you, and it's all possible with the power of this patch. So let me share with you 3 ways to enroll. So these prices are in US dollars, and for a month's worth of patches, we call it a sleeve. It's like an envelope of 30 patches, right? So first you can enroll as a retail customer, where you simply place your order. It's a retail price. We see practitioners typically do this in the States. They set themselves up like this, offering, retail to their patients. Obviously, we like to encourage people to purchase wholesale. And so you can purchase as a preferred customer, where you sign up and commit to an auto ship, or you can sign up as a brand partner. And not only do you unlock the wholesale pricing as a brand partner, but you can also secure a spot on a team and can leverage the incredible momentum that this company is experiencing by building a business without additional cost or overhead. It is just the cost of your patches that you're paying for. So what we often see is that people, as they begin to experience success with the products, they naturally share them with others. They end up building a business, and sometimes even on a full-time basis. So signing up as a brand partner, there's actually no additional investment. As I said, there's no commitment, there's no pressure to share or to build a business. There are 3 enrollment kits to choose from. And so the more that you purchase upon signing up, the better the value. That way you can start sharing them out with family and friends in your life, your aging parents, loan them out to people as they wait for their order to come in. That's super exciting to do for people in your area. It's always great to have extra sleeves on hand. So it's exciting not only where this company is going, but our team is the #1 team in the whole organization, in the whole company. It has incredible leadership, supports, training, systems in place to grow your business. No prior experience or training in sales or network marketing is required. Really just a passion to help people, right? With the freedom model, I like to call it, health freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. And you can rest assured that there's no competition out there. So no other company comes close to offering what this product does. There's nothing like it on the market. And so not only does it address people's health goals, right, but it also helps them financially as well with a generous compensation plan. So I encourage you to reach out to the person who invited you on the call. They can guide you through the best package and pricing available, walk you through the incredible opportunity at Lifewave. I would love to open it up for questions at this point, or if people are wanting to share their powerful testimonials. But first, I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join the call and really being open to learning. So I encourage you, anyone that wants to, Jeff, do you want to unmute yourself and share? And I'll get to you, Susie, right after. I know that you put it in the chat. Can you unmute, Jeff?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. First of all, this is a great meeting. So yes, thank everyone for showing up, but thank you guys for doing it, because it really, you learn a lot by listening to you guys. And I wasn't going to share, but I got so inspired by Larry that I have to come on and share. And Larry, congratulations on all the stuff you've accomplished. I mean, that's miraculous. And it's so cool that you're getting back in the saddle and you're able to, do the stuff that you're passionate about, and you're not shackled by injuries or illnesses or things that are holding you down. So I'm really happy for you. I'm an aging athlete, and my fitness has always been #1 in my life. I mean, I was a marathon runner. I've run 18 marathons, 3 Boston marathons, 3 national championships. I went back to school to be a chiropractor when I was 39 years old, and I ended up jumping on the cross country team, and we competed nationally, and I was the captain of the marathon team, and we took 2nd place in the nation. So I took my fitness very seriously. And while I was training, if I would screw up something, or I would take work off to rehab myself. That's how serious I was. So I take my fitness really, really seriously. And when Beth sent me this information on, regenerating your stem cells and stuff, I got so excited that I signed up right away. And so while I was training, I didn't even realize this until pretty recently. When you run 18, at least when I run 18 marathons, some people's bodies are designed to run marathons and some people probably aren't, and I probably wasn't. And my lower back was always killing me. I mean, it was just really, really sensitive. And recently there's no pain. So that's the first thing. I mean, my pain went away. And what I was one of those people that as soon as I got Beth's information and I signed up and I patched myself, I felt tingling all over my body instantly. And that was really exciting to me because I knew something was going on. Something good was going on, right? And so the first thing I noticed, I've never slept my whole life, I've never, I mean, I could sleep 4 or 5 hours and I'm good to go, right? I never, ever slept. I don't think I can ever remember sleeping for, 8 hours. And I probably still have never slept for 8 hours. But I used to dream. And when I loved dreaming. I had dream books. A successful night for me was remembering 4 dreams, and I was so into my dreams that I actually learned how to control my own dreams so I could end my dreams the way I wanted to end them. That was pretty cool. Well, I stopped dreaming, and I haven't dreamt in 10 years, maybe 15 years. And I'm dreaming again, which is really cool. And they're really cool dreams, too. So that's exciting. I'm sleeping way better. I'm totally energized. I have way more energy now. And my back doesn't hurt. So that's really cool. And while I've been training, I screwed up my knee lifting weights and stuff. And it really bothered me when any part of my body doesn't function correctly. And so I put the patch, in fact, my knee was so bad off, I couldn't even bend my leg an inch, right? So it was just a stiff leg. I couldn't bend it because my knee was so sensitive and so locked up. And I put the patch on my knee, and within 3 days, my knee was back to normal, which was pretty exciting for me. So I totally regained the function, and so I've really learned. And my elbow, I don't know, my elbow. I started doing chin-ups again when I was in high school. I was able to do 40 chin-ups, and I put a little bit of extra weight on since then, and I haven't been able to do more than like 23, 24 chin-ups. And while I was doing chin-ups, I must have strained a ligament in my elbow, and that had been bothering me for months. And I put the patch on, and it's been on now for 5 days, and I almost cannot feel any pain or any agony in there anymore. So my testimonial is definitely everybody is crazy if they don't get patched, right? I just remember hearing somebody say, it works for everybody that wears it, right? And I'm living proof that that my body is working way better, and I feel so much better. I feel so much younger, and that means so much to me because my physical condition means a lot to me. And I just would recommend the patch to everybody because you got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. Appreciate the coming on the call and sharing. Susie, would you like to unmute and share your story? Can you unmute?
Do you think you can unmute her?
No, I can't. I can ask her to unmute.
I think I've done it now.
There we go. Okay,
Oh,
great.
sorry.
No,
I
that's
was
okay.
I was clicking the button, but it wasn't doing anything, and then an option came up on the screen. So sorry about that.
That's all right.
Not very smooth and professional, is it? Yeah, I just noticed I'm actually in Mexico as well, and you asked about the sun cream. I've got very fair skin, and I tend not to tan easily. I haven't worn. I've been on the patches, obviously, all the time I've been here. I haven't used any sun cream at all. I haven't burnt once, and I've sometimes been out for 4 or 5 hours at a time. And it's probably the best suntan I've ever had. So going back to your comment, it's definitely made a difference.
Amazing.
In terms of how it's impacted me, a little bit like Rachel, I haven't got masses of things wrong because I'm very conscious of what I eat and everything else. But there are little things, from toxins like joints getting achy, especially in my fingers, and sore. And my left hip, I do a lot of exercise, my left hip often goes out, and I have to go to a chiropractor to get it realigned. And what happens is I get soreness up the side of my body and into my left shoulder. And sometimes it gets quite bad. But since I've been wearing the patch, that has eased tremendously. and I very rarely get problems in my shoulder. My hip still goes out, but I'm able to kind of get it back in again, but I don't get the symptoms that I had before, which is brilliant. So I think overall, just a lot better. I'm sort of doing exercise and things isn't a challenge for me at all, and I'm quite old, so that's quite good to know. But I wanted to say, a friend of mine who started them, I've known her since she was 4, and when she was 22, she was in London, slipped on a marble floor, fractured the back of her head and her spine, and that was over 25 years ago, and she's had problems ever since and gets terrible migraines, which will come up from her left side, from her chest into her shoulder, up to her neck, straight into her head, and then she'll be, blacked out for 24 hours. And she was starting to have to take very heavy duty migraine tablets, which she didn't want to do. She also had a lot of pain in the left shoulder, and I was staying with her and suggested the patches, and she was very skeptical. Then one day when she had a pain, I said, let's just put it on. And within an hour, the pain in her shoulder went. She took the patch off at night. In the morning, she could feel this other pain coming up on the side, and she knew she was going to get a migraine, because this would be 3 or 4 times a month this would happen. She put a patch on, and that was 5 months ago, and she has never had a migraine since. Her whole body has been in low grade pain for 25 years, and it's completely gone. She's absolutely blown away. She's due to go, and she is on various sort of things like, she doesn't eat meat, so she has to go and get injections. So she is on those, and she's going to get all her levels tested. So she's going to let me know inflammation levels and all her other markers, what they're like, in about 2 weeks. So I'll let you know as well. But from a physical point of view, she said the biggest relief initially was not having these hideous migraines. And that's been going on for years and years and years. But also, she'd also had this body pain that she'd lived with, and it wasn't until it went that she realised that she'd had it, if you notice, because she got used to it. And when it went, she just said she felt so free and much more relaxed. So I think that's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Susie. There are so many amazing testimonials of people, suffering from headaches and migraines and, traumatic brain injuries that have made such amazing recoveries using this patch. But thank you for sharing. Awesome. Anybody have any questions at this point? Now is the time to definitely unmute yourself, ask us questions while we're here. I don't think there were any in the chat that came up, but so feel free.
I wanted to share one more thing, just a text that I got, which obviously I will remain anonymous, but just to show the mental health issues and what these patches can do. Like, this was pretty significant. This woman was telling me what was happening, and then I asked how she would describe her mood before the patches. And so this is what she's described it before the patches: completely apathetic, flat, no joy, no happiness, no contentment, no excitement, just going through the motions, surviving. I've been like that for a couple of years. I was in hospital in early 2021 for major depression and debilitating anxiety. Actually, I've been like that for pretty much 15 years. I've been hospitalized twice now, had periods of time where I was better than worse. But over the last 3 years, I've been apathetic. I say apathetic rather than depressed because I don't cry a lot and I don't feel sad, just flat. And this woman started the patches because of pain, not because of mood. She didn't actually disclose that to me. Then she had phoned me to try to leave a message. And I said, and she said, oh, it's nothing. I just wanted to give you a little update, nothing big, which it was. She said, well, I said, what's going on? She said, well, half the time I feel like I'm high, to be totally honest, like happy high. I've been waking up in the morning before my alarm, which is unheard of. Morning has been the hardest time for me for many years. I wake up black, I call it. My depression is so much worse in the morning. It's so hard to get out of bed, but I've been waking up before my alarm and not feeling black.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Actually, it's a similar story to someone that I had shared with as well earlier on, because it was about her knee pain that, I was trying to help, because knowing that my mom had such an amazing experience with the patches for her knee pain. And the first thing she noticed was her mental state, her mental clarity, no more anxiety and depression. And she didn't even recognize that she was in that bad of a mental state until it lifted. So and then her knee pain cleared up. So just amazing how these patches are helping systemically all over the body. It's exciting. How can you not share it out?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing about your daughter as well. Thanks, Vesna. And as I said, anybody have any questions, please feel free to unmute. No? All right, well, this replay is going to be up on our YouTube channel. So Rachel and I, we each have our own YouTube channel. So we'll make sure that this is up and you can share it out to those that you want to spread the word with. And again, make sure that you get back to the person that invited you on this call so they can set you up. And hopefully we will see you on the team soon. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thanks,
Sharing your
everyone.
time.